Hi, welcome back to the channel. This episode is going to be a bit shorter than normal because I just haven't had the time to spend on the vehicle this week that I'd have liked. But I'm going to try and get all of the steering refitted and working. And I'm going to start with the steering box by giving it a good clean, adjusting it and then getting it back on the vehicle. Right, I'm going to start by giving it a good clean with just some white spirits. Now I've got this relatively clean, I need to adjust it, and this is the later steering box. I think they changed in 71 where they had a worm and peg system, and this has got a worm and roller system, which makes them apparently slightly more robust. I don't know the ins and outs of them that well. But it's important to get these adjusted correctly, and these later ones, apparently you adjust them by making sure that the steering is in the centre position and then turning it either clockwise or anti-clockwise through 180 degrees and then adjusting the backlash so that there is just no lash in the steering arm. So that's what we're going to do next. Right, so you can see the centre position when that tab on here lines up with a marker on the case. So you can turn this and get it, but you need to make sure it's in the centre position first. So if I turn it clockwise, so that's one full turn and about 3/4 of a turn. So I turn it back 3/4 of a turn and one full turn. And then if I turn it the other way, I've got one full turn, 3/4 of a turn. So I know that that now is in the centre position. So if I turn that clockwise through 180 degrees to there, this should just have no play in it. And you can see there that there is very slight play. So we want it so that it's just on the point of no play. And we do that by loosening off this nut here. So a bit of WD-40. Releasing the lock nut can be quite difficult. I've just got a bit of metal here that's quite thick that I can put in the slot and then gently ease the lock nut to loosen it. A bit more WD-40 on it. Like that, and then loosen off the lock nut. A couple of turns, and that gives us enough space to move it in and out. So as I said, now we know that this is in the right position. So this is in the right position, the steering arm box is. Now there should be no play in this. So if I tighten this in slightly, keep tightening it, just starting to go now. Like that, there's no play in that now, so I'm just going to back it off slightly. And again. Now I can just feel it starting to rock. So again, if I tighten this up just a tiny amount, still a little bit of play. Bit more. Tiny bit more. Tiny bit more. That's now, it feels like it's got a tiny fraction of play in it, but it's probably, I mean, I'm no expert on these. I mean, I've just read the manual and been online, but it makes sense that you're probably better off having it slightly too loose than slightly too tight, because if it's too tight, presumably you can wear it out. You can put wear on it more quickly. So I'm going to just a little bit more, and I'm going to leave it at that. So now all I'm going to do is tighten this up, make sure that the screw stays in the same place. That's good. Yep, that feels okay. Right, that's all tightened up and adjusted. From what I gather, these steering boxes are designed to be at their tightest when they're in the centre position. And the reason for that is I think that when you're driving down the road in a straight line, it stops any wandering in the steering. And as soon as you turn the steering wheel, the box steering loosens off and allows cornering more easily, because you won't notice as much play in the box when you're going around the corner. You'll only notice it wandering when you're in a straight line, and that's why, from what I gather, it's really important that you get this adjustment absolutely spot on, and you don't just tighten it up without getting the backlash absolutely spot on, because if you do just tighten this up, you'll just wear out your steering box in no time. So just to reiterate, I adjusted it 180 degrees out, so I've got that with no play, and it's just on the cusp of starting to have play. And then when I turn it back to the centre position, there's no play at all. So now we're ready to put this back in the vehicle. I'm just going to top it up with some fluid, and I'm just going to put axle fluid in, SA 80-90, and top it up and make sure it's full. So I just pull that out, and I can see that it's nice and clean oil in there, but I'll just top it up and make sure that it's full. Right, well, we're now ready to refit the steering box. As I said earlier, if you've got the earlier box, which I think is from up to 1971, there's a different procedure for adjusting that, and I think the best way to do it is when it's actually on the vehicle and you just adjust it using the steering wheel to feel for play and smoothness. But all of that's in the manual. I suggest look it up and work that one out if you've got the earlier box. Now I just need to torque the bolts up to, I think it's between 25 and 36, something like that, so I'm going to do it to 35 pounds per foot. Any of you that will be watching the previous episode will have seen that I ordered some paint and it came back the wrong colour, which was a bit of a disappointment and quite a costly one. But I've ordered another tin, a 2 litre tin of the same paint with a slightly different code, 1 digit different, and I'm hoping that this is going to be the right colour. If it isn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. So anyway, let's have a look. Yep, that is the right colour. Well, as you can see, that's the old paint. It's a bit darker than it should be, but you can see that that's the same colour, which is really good. So pleased with that. Right, so I've got all the components for the steering here. I'll start with this. The way the horn on these buses works is that there's a live feed from the fuse box to the horn, and then the earth from the horn travels back to the base of the steering column. It runs up the steering column and is then earthed via the horn to the outer side, and that completes the circuit and the horn goes on. And these are renowned for playing up and being awkward and difficult to get working. So I've put a new earth lead on the outer sleeve, and I've got a new one to run up the centre of the steering column, so I'll replace everything as I'm doing it. Okay, I'm going to start by putting the outer sleeve into the ignition housing, and you've got to get this hole facing that way to allow the steering lock to work. Okay, that's that on. I might have to knock this in a bit further or pull it out a bit more depending on later stages. Now I need to get these two bits sorted, and that goes on the back. So that bottom plate on, and then this wire has to thread through there. Like so. Might put a bit of tape on there just to hold it in place. So that's the outer column done. Now the inner column I need to try to wire up the centre of it. Oops. Like that. And then reconnect I'm reusing the old bush because it's got no cracks in it at all. It looks really good and it doesn't look that old. So that's fine to use again. But it's okay. So that's the bottom bracket on there fitted. So I need to now fit this to the vehicle. Right, now I've got all of the steering finished and set up, I want to test to make sure that the horn actually is going to work and that I've wired it up correctly. So this is the wire that is attached to the bottom of the outer steering column. So if I get my multimeter, which I've got set to continuity, and connect one end to that, and then if I earth the other end, I shouldn't get a continuity signal. But if I press the horn, you can hear there that I've got continuity. So that shows that the wiring is all correct, so I can now carry on. Right, well that's going to be it for this episode. Hopefully in the next one I'll get all the wiring sorted, get it started and back on its wheels. So until then, thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already done so. See you on the next one.